Today's guest is Paul Gibson, author of 8 books, 30 years of experience in strategy, leadership, was in Fortune 100 AI leader, and delivered over 100 keynotes. Now it's focusing on AI, leadership, and much more. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Nice to be there. And tell me, just to help me out, if you don't mind, you gave me a very nice introduction, but are you a student, college student, high school student, young
High school
worker?
student, what if?
Are you? Awesome. Yeah, cool. And what are you interested in?
A lot of things, honestly. I think I'm interested in so many things that I started a podcast because I think I wouldn't find a different job
You didn't
than
have
this.
enough to do, so you started a podcast.
Yes, honestly, interested in too many things, and one of the best ways to learn is to to talk to people like you and other people who are experts in their fields and learn, and share
Yeah, it's
some of
fun.
your
It's
wisdom
fun.
and other wisdom that people
That's
like give me on
that's
this
fun.
podcast with other people.
And what are your interests?
Right now,
I mean, I
even
know you have
in
a million interests, but
yes,
give me,
I know, I get it.
give me two, right? Like,
Too. Oh, pretty hard. But right now, it's pretty much, content and this podcasting. I'm pretty interested in that. Like in these ideas and how to make it better. And even in kind of in technology and philosophy in this some kind of way, because even, I wanted you on this podcast, and this is, the main things probably, because it really interests me, and on more of a like deeper level, because I think I went through the stage of this kind of general AI. I'm using it, for learning, for school here and there, even for my podcast, reviews. But still making sure I'm thinking for myself and not using it for my benefit, not for like making even myself worse and letting AI do all the hard work. So I'm pretty aware of that. And even with technology in general, I think it's kind of cool. And yeah, mainly that. I think everything connects in some way, and that's probably why I have so many like interests.
well, that's kind of true. I have this thing like I have a kid who's probably not far from you in age. She's 16 in 1 month, and I have one who's 21. And AI came out like 3 years ago, and they started cheating with it, whatever. And I said, you can either use this to make yourself stupid, or you can use it to make yourself a genius. And I suggest you do the latter. Um, but what I think a lot of people miss, by the way, if you use, say you have a big project, you got like an essay, 5,000 words,
Yeah.
whatever, and you use AI during, obviously having it write it for you, you're not fooling anyone and you're just cheating yourself out of your future, right? But
Yes.
if you use it, and even people say, well, I won't learn as much. And that actually, it kind of possibly might be true, right? Like possibly if you had to read this big book cover to cover. And that's a yes, but what you are learning, and I think this is really important, is you learning to use AI to think with you, and learning to use AI to think with you, to do work for you, is the most, I tell my kids, it's the most important thing to learn, because it's going to be all over everywhere. And whether you're in graduate school, or whether you're a professor, or whether you're a business person, or whether you're a scientist, or wherever you are in life, if you can attach your brain to this thing, you'll do very much better than people who can't and use it in a stupid way. And so I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for people also in further parts of the world, like you, small town in Slovakia, to be able to build stuff and create stuff and do things that they couldn't imagine. So you maybe sacrifice some learning at one end of things, like particularly in the humanities, philosophy and English. Using it, you may know a little bit less about your subject, but if you know a lot more about that, I think that's a great thing. And also, I would expect when I teach student, I don't teach high school anymore. I have taught a little bit of high school. You just have much higher standards as a teacher. It's like, okay, I know that you know how to write two paragraphs on the Roman Empire or whatever, and you're 15 years old, but, how about we do some serious thinking? Like, what technologies did they have at their disposal? Did their technologies come from conquered lands? What were the ways in which they deployed technologies that they've, like that? Well, what did they get from Carthage? You can ask good questions of young people who have tools to help them lift up. And I think that's the exciting thing about AI in education. Unfortunately, teachers don't like it very much over here. I don't think they probably like it very much in Slovakia either. They're a
No,
bit,
absolutely not. Like,
yeah,
some
they're
of
kind of
them,
dumb. They're kind of dumb. But it's also a threat to they've been doing things 20, 25 years. They don't know how to use it themselves. They have no idea, right? I don't know how good your AI skills are, but they have no idea how to use it. So how are they supposed to teach children how to use it? So it's this thing like, like what? And so immediately they try and reject it. And I just think it's so awful for the students to not have a teacher who says, like, I know you're going to use this anyway, but let me show you how to use it right so that you benefit. What do you think about all that? I just talked for too long.
no, no, it's great, it's great, it's okay. At the end of the day, you're the guest here. You can talk how much ever you want,
I talk too
and
much.
and yes, like some of the teachers are of course don't use this, don't use that. This is making you dumber, and basically use it to for different purposes. But some are even if they are old, they are trying to like, oh, use this way. Even if I don't know how to use it right, then I can guess that if everything AI is doing for me, every like writing all of the essays for me, or everything like that, they know it's probably not good for you, and that if the people are their students are using it this way, they will lose some knowledge and everything. So some of them are encouraging people to use it in the right way, but some of them are kind of absolutely ignoring that top part and topic. Like they probably know we are going to use it, but they are like, ah, whatever. And
Everybody uses it, like
yeah,
100%.
everybody
Like
uses
you're
it,
in
true.
your generation, like 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Like on almost
you could
everything.
try and stop it or like that, but good luck, right? Good luck stopping TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Good luck stopping Instagram and good luck stopping your things. But we can use these things. My kid had a TikTok thing and he was watching garbage on TikTok. Like, and I was like, dude, do yourself a favor and just start to select a few things that you think will be good for you rather than just entertaining. Like, pick, I don't know, whatever you like. He's interested in drones. So pick somebody who's a killer drone pilot. Like, start to curate your feed because he's not going to give up TikTok, right? If I'd said you could go on TikTok, he'd go like, okay, Dad, go screw yourself. But you can curate it so that you're not seeing the junk. And I've told him, like, if you see something that is junk, fake news, toxic, whatever, just block. Block, 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 block. And people talk about AI slop a lot. And I think that's lazy thinking because it's human slop. Some human being decided that it was a good idea to post something that was generated by AI. That's the human decision. The fact that AI made it easy is irrelevant. And then there's another human decision, which is to consume AI slop. Because the algorithm, if no one looked at that shit, then the algorithm would deprecate it and no one would ever see it. So there are two human decisions in slop, right? One, I'm going to generate it. And then two, somebody else has to watch it. So people who say, "Oh, yeah, AI slop," I think they're idiots. Honestly, I think they're not taking responsibility for curating their own feed and being creative and imaginative enough to generate stuff that's valuable. So that's my view. Sorry, I'm very strong. I'm very strong. I have very strong opinions.
Oh, that's okay. I'm young. I very little about the world, and I'm kind of just questioning every idea I can. So yeah, this is kind of good. And yeah, it reminds me of the idea that everybody say that people were saying that money is bad or everything, about this thing, but it reminds me that this is just a tool that we use, and we can decide how we use it. And if we consume like this AI generated videos that are just kind of dumb, honestly, most of them, if they are not for educational purposes or I don't know what.
No,
And
they're not. I don't even know what purpose they're for. I don't get it. But anyway.
yeah, but yeah, I think I have a like friend who has this wants to make these AI videos about that they will educate children, and I think the purpose of it is good, but I don't know how it will work. And in with my kind of this making sense in it, I think when it comes to learning and all this stuff, I think we should, especially when AI comes, we should kind of make the connect more as we go, because like human connection, like we can replace that. And even when I talk to some founders about these AI apps and kind of AI assistants, there was like one person in particular that said, I don't want to replace connection. Human connection is irreplaceable, and I just want to improve human lives. So
Yeah, I kind of get that. And I was listening to one of the very famous podcasters here. I think I can't remember if it was Dylan Patel or Dwarkesh, one of the big AI guys. And he said, I really like Waymo. Like taking a Waymo taxi is better than an Uber in every way. He says, but it's sometimes nice to talk to the Uber drivers. Because this guy's like billionaire guy. Well, I don't know if he's a billionaire, but like super rich, right? And for him to talk to a guy who's making a few euros an hour is good for him. I thought that was a very wise perspective. It's like I could automate this, but actually I'd rather talk to a person for a while. I think that's kind of cool.
yeah, well, for me too. And I never was in a Waymo, and I think I not I think, but
Neither have I. I haven't been in a Waymo either. I want to go on one.
yeah, I really want to go on one too. Like I want to know the experience, because I think most people would be scared of like this is probably like not safe, but I actually think it's kind of even safer that
Well,
out.
you should look that up, but I guarantee you're right. It's
Yeah,
way
yeah,
safer, way safer than a human driver.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
absolutely.
should look up the numbers, but it's like not even close, right?
Yeah, like I'm not saying from numbers, but it kind of makes more sense when I think about it, because human drivers can be very irresponsible and emotional,
Sure,
and
or they can fall asleep, or they can
yes,
have,
exactly.
one too many drink, or, someone, yeah, they can, they're much worse. But you see, the problem is one automated vehicle crashes and it makes the newspapers all over the world. And yet in the United States, I think 30,000 people a year die in automobile accidents in the United States. This is long before artificial intelligence, right? That's a lot of people. So, like, I don't take these people very seriously, I have to say. Let me ask you a question, if you don't mind, it's too personal. Do you use AI as like kind of therapy, counseling coach for yourself?
No, like it's okay. This question is okay, and no, no, like we are on a podcast that's called Deep Talk, so it would be
Okay,
very
that's true.
like.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Deep talk. All right, tell me. Tell
So
me.
yeah, that would be not inappropriate for me to like decline this question, but I really try not to take it as a therapist, because I know like human connection, and I know like people even from this can even like make some personal connections, and get into this. The AI is the only thing that hears me, understands me, and all of the I think a lot of these mental problems people have with AI started with being lonely and all of that stuff. But sometimes
That's right.
sometimes I ask even personal questions, but I always try to make it like science wise, or give me like research on this, videos from real people on this, and try to make the like interwork really mine, and not take AI as a therapist, but
I mean, one of the
it
things is,
goes.
of course, if you did need, I'm not saying you are distressed, but if you were distressed, and you certainly know people, look, my son, he's in his going into his third year of high school next year. High school in America is 9, 10, 11, 12. And I think in most of Europe, it's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So in American high schools, you start when you're about 14 and you finish when you're about 18. Whereas I
It
think in Europe, we start when we're about 11 or 12, and then we finish when we're
it
18.
depends which school, and it depends like on what kind of high school you're going to. Oh yeah, but almost the same. Like in my country especially, but there are some that have like 8 year this and that.
Ja,
In like my
technische
country, it's
Hochschule.
about 14, 15, but you end at like 19, 18 too. So it's not that different, but depends on the high
I
school.
don't know why I was going to tell you about my guy who's your age. Why was I going to tell you about him? You should have him on your podcast. He's really interesting. He flies drones, and he builds crazy stuff with Claude Code. Like crazy, like he built this thing in Claude Code. I Because you need to pay to have access to Cloud Code, like $20 a month, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, whatever. And he's like, oh, don't spend the money, it'll be a waste of money. I'm like, just take it, okay? And then he goes, and then I go downstairs to his room about 2 hours later, and he's got this thing on his screen that's doing this, these balls, these orbs.
Yeah.
And I said, what's that? He says, it's called a slangometer. I said, what's that? He says, well, you know how words in slang. So, for example, in English, gay used to mean happy. It had nothing to do with sexual orientation. And now it has nothing to do with being happy. You can't use it that way. It's to do with sexual orientation. Okay, that's fine. But language is always doing that. So he built this thing that has like Gen Z slang and Gen Alpha slang, and the way these terms have changed over time, like this language model. I was like, holy shit. How long did that take you? He said it took me about an hour and a half. Like, wow, dude. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
That's really
That's really
impressive.
no, but I think it's great because like one of the things that makes the biggest difference, people of every age, like I'm 50 years older than you, right? But the people of every age, it makes a difference, is that like curiosity. Like I bought him that $20 subscription and he wasn't, oh, I don't have time for this, or he's like, oh, let me see what this can do. You know? And I think that's like such a superpower, because the only way to learn to use this new tool well is, this is vulgar, but it's called FAFO, and it stands for fuck around and find out, which means you get in there and try and do things like, oh, and sometimes things will break. It's like, oh, that wasn't so good. Or, sometimes you'll do something thing. And that's what I've found for myself is like, there's no, so people say, what book should I read in AI? I said, don't read any of them because they're out of date, like as soon as they're written. Like if you want to find out what's happening in AI, where you go on Substack, there are really incredible people on there building stuff all the time. Don't you agree? Right? I think it's
Yeah, yeah.
crazy, right? There are very good
X,
people on there.
Substack, even sometimes YouTube, and then all the social platforms basically.
So FAFO, FAFO. I think that's the keys to the. I know it's vulgar, but I think that's the keys to the kingdom, is being willing to mess around with stuff. But like in a way, the formal education system kind of gets that out of you. Like the most famous TED talk of all time was this guy called Ken Robinson. I don't know how many billions of views. And he basically said the educational system, schools are designed to squeeze the creativity out of you by the time you get out of there. I don't think they have to, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know what you think about that. What do you think about that? Do schools kill creativity?
Uh, uh, I'm Of course, depends because I know people that had teachers that helped them a lot in their journeys and stuff. But for me personally, I don't like the system that is there, and
Oh,
I
you're gonna be in
especially
it. You're gonna be in it for a lot more years, so you better
I
get
know,
you
I
better
know,
get
I'm
used to
getting
it.
used to it.
That's why kids like, I hate school. I said, oh, don't worry about it. You only have 10 more years to go. You'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm kind of creating my own system to go there with the kind of least damage that schools does to you in terms of creativity and kind of making this perception of around the world around you that is not quite right in most of the cases on that. But if it squeezes creativity from people, I think it squeezes a little bit of like critical thinking and kind of thinking for yourself because in school you almost never question anything. You even cannot, or there is almost no time or anything that kind of you do, and you question it, or this right, or is this because even the teachers, they have this program they need to teach and all of these things that they like have written for 30 years that they need to teach in this way so you can then graduate and then
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
this college and
Well, yeah. It's not just schools. The teachers, like, it takes work to reinvent yourself. I
yeah.
wrote my first book when I was 53. I'd never written a book before. I was a pretty shitty writer. Now I'm a terrific writer. Uh, I do a lot of things like people are say, You're too old for that." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I do what I like."
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I
Yeah,
have the same mindset when people say to me like I'm too young.
yeah.
I
Tell
say
them to go
I'm
screw
not.
themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like really, you just you, as they say in America, you just do you,
Yeah.
and let them do whatever they do. Like let them have their opinions and judgments, and all the stuff that they think, and you're weird or you should be doing this. Like forget all that noise. That's just all noise. Just sort of learn from the best bits of it, and then do you. And I can already tell, like how many. You're 15, roughly speaking, give or
Yeah.
take, right? How many 15-year-olds reach out across the ocean to someone 10,000 kilometers away who's like some super senior business dude and go, "Oh, do you want to do a podcast with me?" Like nobody does that.
Nobody I know.
Nobody
Nobody's
does.
crazy enough.
Nobody does that. I thought you were gonna be some old woman. I swear to God. I thought you would have gray hair and kind of little mustache, but no, you're not that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like there is not a lot of people like me, and it can feel kind of lonely, but it makes me like really happy when even people like you or anybody actually says yes, and I can learn from them and do all of these like kind of talk to them because I think it's much better. Even when people have books, I think books is a kind of a conversation you have with the person writing the book, but still like talking to them and having a chat, learning all of these things about conversation is like the best thing. And at the same time, before this I was shy. I think I was an introvert. I didn't like speaking to people, and I wouldn't in 100 years say that I will be doing this and being like really energized by it and really
Even
like loving
even
this.
even better for you.
Yeah.
Even better. Even better if you're shy. Um, what a good way to cure shyness is go talk to 1,000 people. They'll take care of your shyness. Uh, so how many people listen to this? Is it like a younger audience, or is it do you have big social on TikTok and Insta, or
Not really.
how do
Like,
you promote this?
I don't really have big socials, and that's what I've heard is a big disadvantage. That many people say that if you don't have like any like bigger audience on these platforms, that it is really hard to start a podcast and keep it going. But I say like, well, it is what it is.
And
So I
look,
started.
if you're learning stuff and having fun, like who cares what the numbers are, really? If you're learning and having fun and you're kind of talking to cool people, then who cares what people think? I mean, uh, there's an idea on Substack a lot. There's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, how to grow your LinkedIn to 25,000 people." And I mean, okay, you kind of need that if you do what I do. Like, I kind of sort of need to grow my sort of need to grow my follower count. I'm not really sure how much but I would rather focus on the ideas. Like, I despise all of that. Like, um, try to maximize clicks and try to maximize views and try to maximize followers. Like, in a way, you're putting, as we say in English, the cart before the horse. It's like, why don't you concentrate on having good ideas, bro, and then worrying about like how many people you can reach with them, rather than worrying about how many people you can reach. And that's, again, that's that slop conversation as well, because somebody has 1 million followers. Sometimes it's very high quality, and sometimes it's not,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes it's just absolutely not. So, again, it's like, don't listen to them. Like, do a podcast and have fun. And then if you decide at some stage or another, you know what? This thing's, I want to grow an audience here. I think it's time. Then have a plan and a strategy and
Yeah,
decide
yeah.
which channels. Is it going to be YouTube or IG or wherever it's going to be? And then do it properly. But don't worry about it until it's time to worry about it, right? I mean, because to do it well in today's age, you got to be really good and you got to be really dedicated and you got to be really focused and you got to like you can't just I don't know I don't know if this is true, but there aren't many people who start something and then all of a sudden their 500,000 followers appear out of fresh air, right? Most of them are working it hard. Mr. Beast worked it pretty hard, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think Joe Rogan probably worked it pretty hard.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to find this balance in I'm going to, grow this, but at the same time, I don't want to focus on the virality of it. Still being in
Sure.
top topics I'm interested in and all
Focus
of
on
it.
it being good.
Yes.
First, then worry about followers later. You should do a podcast with my 15-year-old. I should connect my 15-year-old too.
Whatever. Like,
He's a pretty
well,
good. No,
when
he's a
if he
pretty
wants
cool
to do
kid.
it, like, let's do it. I'm open to
He's a
it.
pretty cool kid. It would be weird for him to say like, I don't think he's ever been on a podcast before, right? So
That's
it'd be kind of
okay.
weird. Like, you should talk to, it's Katya, right?
Yeah,
Katya.
yes, skate, like, do, like, whatever. You
Yeah,
know, Katka is the like Slavic like name for me, but it's
yeah,
Kate. Like
yeah,
you can call me Kate.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
But
one of
maybe
the
that's
questions I
maybe
wanted
that's
to ask you about it was like
ask away.
leadership because that's kind of that interested me. Like one of the things that interested me the most about reading about the whole of your page and
Yeah.
website was leadership. You know, what like makes a great leader and if great leaders are just born or you can become a great leader.
Well, those are good questions. It's hard to say. I mean, first of all, so let's not pretend that we've invented leadership in this century, right? 5,000 years, 10,000 years, Moses, Abraham, all those guys, right? And what made them great? Well, that's an interesting question. We've had plenty of chances to study leadership over the 5 or 10,000 years of whatever you want to call human civilization. I don't know that we're necessarily got an answer to it. Are there things that unite? So, first of all, there's a variety. I think that's the thing to know is that it doesn't look only one way. So, unarguably, Mother Teresa was a leader. I don't love everything she did, but unarguably, Nelson Mandela was a leader. Unarguably, Donald Trump is a leader. He's changed the culture of the United States over the course of the last 10 or 15 years a lot. It's in a way I find disgusting, but he's changed it a lot. And so, is he a good leader? Is he a good leader? Well, he's not good in the moral sense of being good. He's one of the most evil probably the most evil guy in this century. Oh my God. Now I have to leave America because they're going to come for me with masks, right? But I don't think anybody has disrupted the world since Adolf Hitler as much as Trump has. So that's my view. But is he good in the moral sense? So no. But is he effective? Arguably, he is incredibly effective. If you measure leadership by how many followers you have, which is just a bad idea, he managed to get 50 million people to vote for him, despite sex scandals and bankruptcies and impeachments and being convicted as a felon. And despite all of that, 50 million people voted for him. So I dislike the guy immensely, but he has something that attracts people to him. And maybe you could say, well, he just appeals to people's darker nature. I mean, there's a lot to be said there, right? Probably yes. Hate, division, otherness, all that shit. But I think there's a lot to be learned from people like that. I think, hate him as I do, but I think there's a lot to be learned. So leadership isn't just like one thing, is it born or it's made? You decided that for yourself. So you told me you were shy. And here you are talking to someone 10,000 kilometers away that's 50 years older than you. Like, in a way, were you born like this charismatic superstar, podcasty person? No. But you decided, you know what? And that's leadership. So what you're doing here, that's leadership, in my view.
Thank you.
That's saying this is missing in the world, and I'm going to go fix that. And what you'll find is some people will follow you and be attracted to hang out with you. Some won't. So what do you think about that? I don't think there's just one way to look at it.
No, there is never just a one way to look at it, honestly. And yeah, like that. Thanks for saying that. And yeah, it just really interested me when leadership and all of those great leaders they have. There's something about them, like no matter if we think it's good or bad or anything like it, but there's something to them, like being kind of clear thinking in hard situations and basically all of that stuff that really makes it like wow
Yeah,
factor on
I,
them.
I, I agree. I remember when the Prime Minister of England 20 years ago, Tony Blair, was trying to decide whether to attack Iraq with the American president back about 20 years ago. And his whole party didn't want him to do it. And most of the world thought attacking Iraq was a really terrible idea. And I thought, how do you sleep at night? Worrying about like whether I'm gonna, because these are expensive. They cost lives and they cost money and they cost reputation, and that wars are expensive. How do you make decisions like that? Like that to me is like, because I'm pretty experienced, but I don't know if I would like to be deciding whether, things that are going to have tens of millions of lives affected by me getting it right. Like if I get this right, it'll go very well. Well, if I get it wrong, it's going to go really terribly. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I find that interesting. And I'm glad you focused on decision making, because a lot of people focus on the soft side of leadership, which is like being cuddly and warm and empathetic. And there's a place for that, but there's also a place for making good choices.
Yeah.
I don't think we talk about that enough, like making good choices.
Yeah, honestly. And one of the other things that I see when it comes to leadership, and especially like in those groups when you have, for example, you are a leader of some group and you have your like team that is important, but you lost a member of that team. Then like what do you like important member of that team? And then
You are
like what do? You probably don't just end the project or the business or anything like it, or like then what is the kind of dynamic and what should you do, especially like when it affects the rest of the team and other people that are working for you.
very right. Hey, listen, I have to go. I have to do
Oh,
some
okay.
other stuff today, but I want to thank you for inviting me. I want to also say, like, wow, like that's cool, right?
Thanks, thanks.
Like, don't go into sales, but if you do go into sales, you'll do fine. What are you going to study at college? Just tell me now. When you go to college?
I have no idea, honestly.
What's your favorite subject right now?
I don't know if I have one. Uh, it depends on like what are we learning. Honestly, I'm that like
Okay.
indecisive.
So let me
Right
name some.
now,
Math. Is math your favorite subject?
one of them. I like math, but
Okay.
the
All
teachers
right.
are a lot of the you know factor when it comes to math and
They are. They
all
are.
the
They're a
yeah
factor when it comes to everything.
yeah
If you have six or seven teachers and five of them are good, you've done very well. Because there'll always be some asshole in there. My Sid used to be, oh, this teacher, my French teacher. I'm like, dude, you have six good teachers and one shitty teacher. Like, whatever. Okay, don't grow up.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I
good
gotta
way
go.
to think about it. Yeah, and
I wish you well in your career and your life and everything. I might give you my 15-year-old son's email. You can have someone your own age on there.
yeah,
It's
for
different.
sure. Like I take people every age.
He lives in Denver, Colorado. Like it's kind of interesting perspective, like what your experience is and what his experience is and how they're different and how they're the same. I think it'd be very cool. But anyway, all right, peace. Take it
Yes,
easy.
thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah, it's cool. Nice to
Hope we
talk
stay
to
in
you.
touch.
Really nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, of
Cheers.
course.
Bye bye.
Bye.